A long time ago, before people found oil underground, the whole world ran on whale oil. It was used in lamps to light up homes. It was used to cook food. It was used to keep people warm. And the men who went out to sea to hunt whales were some of the hardest working and most dangerous men alive. Every few months, ships full of these men would head out into the open ocean looking for whales. And among all the stories those men told, one story was different from all the rest. A story about a creature so huge, so terrifying, that most people who heard the name Moby Dick did not believe it was real. But one man knew the truth. He had been there. It is the year 1850. A writer named Herman Melville visits the home of a man named Tom Nickerson on a small island called Nantucket in America. Herman has spent a long time trying to find out the truth behind a ship called the Essex and the story of the great white whale. Tom is one of only a few men who were on the Essex and came back alive. But what he went through broke something in him. He is a very different person now. Quiet, closed off from everyone. He never talks about those days on the sea. Herman almost gives up when Tom tells him to leave. But Tom's wife talks Tom into opening up because he needs the money, and because keeping all of that pain inside for so long has not been good for him. Tom finally agrees. The two men sit down together, and Tom begins to tell his story. What follows is not just a story about a whale. It is really the story of two very different men, Captain George Pollard and his first mate, Owen Chase. One morning, Owen gets some very good news. The ship called the Essex is going back out to sea, and he has been told that this time, he will be the captain. Owen has been working toward this his whole life, a better home, more money, a fresh start for his family. His wife is so happy she can barely speak, but when Owen meets his boss Mason, the news he gets is not what he was promised. He is not the captain, he is only the second in charge. The captain's seat has been given to a man named George Pollard, the son of a very rich family. Mason has been taking money from the Pollard family for a long time. Owen is very angry. Not only did Mason break his promise, but George Pollard has almost no real experience on a ship. In the end, Mason offers Owen a lot of money to accept the deal. Owen is not happy about it, but he takes it. The day comes to leave. Before heading to the ship, George's father takes him aside. Be strong. Be a good leader. Do not embarrass the family. Owen's wife walks him to the dock. She is expecting a baby, and she is worried about being left behind. The families on shore say their prayers, and the Essex heads out to sea. For young Tom Nickerson, only 14 years old, it is his very first time on a big ship. He cannot stop looking at the metal badges the older crew members wear on their chests. One of the men explains, "You get one of those when you catch your first whale." Tom makes a silent promise to himself right then and there. Owen and George meet each other for the first time on the ship. They agree to work together, but from the very first day, it is clear that Owen is the one the crew listens to. Owen puts each man in his place. He checks everything. When something goes wrong with the sails, he fixes it before anyone else even sees the problem. George watches from the side, and a bad feeling starts growing inside him. A feeling that Owen is better at this than he is. That feeling comes out at dinner. In front of Owen's friend Joy, George brings up the fact that Owen's father went to prison, and that Owen was raised by a family that was not his own. He says it in a calm voice, but what he really means is clear. He is trying to make Owen feel small. After dinner, Owen sees young Tom leaning over the side of the deck, pale and very sick from the movement of the ship. Owen grabs the boy and holds him out over the edge of the water. Tom screams, but when Owen pulls him back, the sick feeling is gone. Later, the two of them talk. Tom says he has no parents. Owen tells him simply, "The people on this ship are your family now." The next morning, George makes a bad decision. He tells the crew to open all the sails wide so the ship can go faster. Owen looks at the sky and knows a storm is coming. Opening all the sails in a storm could break the mast. George does not listen. The storm hits hard and fast. The ship is thrown around in the water and no one can control it. Everyone holds on and hopes. Then Owen steps in, makes the right move, and the ship gets through it safely. George is not thankful. He is embarrassed. The next day he calls Owen in, and tells him to leave his job, saying Owen went against his orders. Owen says that is not true. It was George who gave the order to open the sails in the first place. George gets angry and says Owen should remember he is just a simple farm boy. Owen stays calm and tells George the truth. Going back to port with no oil would be a disaster. They need to keep going. In the end, George agrees. The ship moves forward. Their goal is to bring back 2,000 barrels of oil. 3 months later, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, they finally find what they came for. The bell on the ship rings and everyone gets ready. Owen throws a harpoon from one of the small hunting boats and hits a whale. The whale pulls them hard through the water, but they hold on and bring it in. That night, the whole crew works together. They cut through the whale's body. They use buckets to pull oil from inside its huge head. Tom is the smallest person on board, so he has to climb inside the whale's head to scoop out the last of the oil. He never forgets it. The total from their first whale is 47 barrels. They need 2,000. So they head to the Pacific Ocean to look for more. But the Pacific does not give them what they need. The whales are nowhere to be found. Weeks pass, then months. George spends more and more time alone in his room. Owen and George stop talking. Their food begins to run very low. They stop near Ecuador to get more supplies. And there, by luck, they meet the captain of another ship. That captain tells them about a part of the ocean far away along the middle of the world, about 4,800 miles out. He says there are thousands of whales there, but then his voice drops. He warns them that the place is extremely dangerous. 6 of his own crew died out there, because in that part of the ocean, there is a white whale like no other, 100 feet long, so strong that one hit from its tail can destroy a whole ship. George and Owen hear every word. Then they sail there anyway. They want the oil too badly to stop now. One of the crew members, a young man named Henry who is family to George, tells George quietly that the rest of the men are not comfortable going so far out. George does not want to hear it. He tells Henry to go back and keep the men calm, and to never use their family connection to question him again. 14 months after leaving home, they arrive at those far-off waters. What they see stops everyone in their tracks. Whales everywhere, more than they have ever seen in their lives. The crew shouts with joy, but the happiness does not last. Without any warning, a whale hits Owen's small boat so hard it flips upside down. And then, a tail rises up out of the water in front of them. It is the biggest thing any of them have ever seen. Owen goes back to the main ship to fix his boat and get ready to hunt again. But then the whole ship begins to shake. Something is hitting it from below, again and again, harder each time. The bottom of the ship cracks open. The monster from the story is real, and it is attacking the Essex. Tom watches from the deck as Owen tries to fight back. The tall mast snaps and falls. The ship breaks apart. The crew grabs everything they can carry and gets into the small hunting boats as fast as possible. Oil is spilling everywhere, and they know that one small fire could turn the whole ship into a ball of flames. The Essex burns, and then it sinks, right in front of all of them. It is night now. Everyone is scared. 3 tiny boats, floating alone in the Pacific Ocean, 7,500 kilometers from the nearest land. George's relative Henry takes out a gun and points it at Owen, saying all of this is Owen's fault. George steps between them and calms Henry down. 12 days go by. They float along with the wind and watch the sun to know which way to go. Then another big storm hits at night, and in the middle of the dark waves, they see the white whale again. It swims around them slowly, then it disappears. During the storm, Joy hits his head badly and never gets fully better. By day 34, they are almost out of food. They share tiny hard pieces of bread between them. Then someone sees land in the distance. They row as hard as they can to get there. But before they reach the shore, the whale comes back and attacks again. They make it to the island. They look everywhere for food. Owen finds a few small fish in the rocks and eats them right away. That night they start a fire and hope someone will see the smoke from a passing ship. But they all know the truth. No ship ever comes out this far. The next morning, they find human bones in the sand. Someone died on this island before them. There is no food here, no ships, no way out. Owen and George decide to fix the small boats and leave before it is too late. But some of the men decide to stay. Joy decides to stay. He is too sick and too weak to keep going. The blow to his head took too much out of him. Owen takes his hand and makes him a promise. I will send a ship back for you. After 48 days of drifting, the current pulls George's boat away from Owen's and they lose each other. In Owen's boat, one of the men has already died from hunger. His body is still and cold. One man says they should put him in the water. Owen says no. Tom looks at Owen and slowly understands what Owen is suggesting. Owen tells Tom quietly, this will be over soon. The same terrible thing happens in George's boat too. On day 71, only 4 men are left in George's boat. They draw a name to decide who will die so the rest can eat and live. George's name is picked, but his relative Henry steps forward and takes his place. Henry gives his life so the others can survive. Days keep passing. They get thinner and thinner, weaker and weaker. Then, by some miracle, George and Owen find each other on the open water again. They stare at each other across the space between the boats. And just at that moment, the white whale appears close by. Someone tells Owen he can hit it from where he is. Owen looks at the whale for a long time. Then he turns away. He cannot do it, not after everything. He lets it go. The current pulls them apart again. That is the last time Owen ever sees George's boat. Day 82. A ship passing by spots George's small boat floating in the water. George and one other man are pulled on board. They are barely alive. Day 90. February 18th, 1821. Owen's boat is still out there. Every person in it looks like a ghost. Owen has given up. He is just waiting for the end. But then a seabird flies low over the boat. Tom sees it. He knows that means land is close. He uses every last bit of strength he has to reach over and wake Owen up. Not long after, fishermen from Chile find them and pull them out of the water. 3 months later, they finally get back to Nantucket. When the people of the town see them, nobody cheers, nobody runs to them, everyone just stares, like they cannot believe what they are seeing. Owen finds his wife in the street. He finds his child, who was not yet born when he left, now big enough to walk and talk. His wife had already told herself he was never coming home. Now she holds him and will not let go. But the hard times are not over. Owen is called in and made to sit across from George again. George asks Owen to lie about what really happened, so that the Pollard family can get money from their insurance. He even offers Owen money to agree to the lie. Owen says no. Before he leaves, he tells George that the truth is the only thing worth telling. Owen went through too much out there to let it be covered up. The last time Owen and Tom see each other, Owen takes a badge out of his pocket, a whale hunter's badge, the kind Tom had looked at with big eyes on his very first day at sea all those years ago. Tom does not say much, but his eyes say everything. Owen looked after him the whole way through. George goes back out to sea later to look for the white whale one more time. He never finds it. His next ship breaks apart near Hawaii. After that, he never sails again. Owen keeps his promise and sends a ship back to the island where Joy and the others stayed behind. Most of them are still alive when the ship arrives. Joy is not. Owen and his wife leave Nantucket and start a new life in a place called New Bedford. Back in the room, Herman Melville closes his notebook. Tom's story fills every single page. A story Tom kept hidden inside himself for so many years that even his own wife never heard all of it. Herman sits quietly for a long time. Then he tells Tom he will not write everything down. Some things should stay between the two of them. Tom nods. He understands.
And if you are watching for the first time, subscribe so you never miss a recap. We will see you in the next one.